If you pick up a jacket at a thrift store for $20 and sell it for $100 on eBay, how much money do you actually make? Well, the answer to that question is actually a lot more complicated than you might think, and it can honestly range anywhere from $67 in profit to actually owing money to eBay for the privilege of selling your item. That's right, you can actually sell something on eBay and straight up owe them money for the privilege of selling it on their site. In today's video, I'm going to break down all the fees I pay as a reseller on the eBay platform. And I'm going to show you guys a free calculator that you can use to calculate your profits on the eBay platform. In my honest opinion, there is too much confusion when it comes to fees on the eBay platform. As a reseller that uses social media, I often get two different types of comments. The first one being the person that claims that eBay isn't even worth reselling on because the fees are too expensive. But then on the flip side, I also get the guy that comments saying that I'm nothing more than a scalper because I make money flipping items on eBay. These comments usually come from a lack of actual knowledge about how much it costs to sell on the eBay platform. And honestly, I blame eBay for this. Their fee structure is just too complicated, and the number that they focus on, yeah, that 90-day total, actually doesn't mean all that much. eBay absolutely loves that 90-day total, and that's why they put it right at the top of our app so that we see it every time we open the app. They love when we talk about it, they love when we share how big our 90-day total is, and they love that we take screenshots of it and share it on Facebook. Because in eBay's mind, it incentivizes other people that don't understand the fees and don't understand the costs to maybe consider selling on the eBay platform. Now, I've talked about this previously. However, if you want to make $1 million on the eBay platform, it is actually super simple. Run out to a local store and buy a bunch of brand new, super in-demand items. Think of things like PlayStation 5s and MacBook computers. Buy these brand new items, list them on the eBay platform for less than what they're actually worth, like significantly less, and you will not stop selling these. You can just keep selling these until you hit that $1 million in sales. But the truth is, if you're selling these at a loss between cost of goods and the eBay fees and shipping, that it doesn't actually mean all that much. Now, eBay could change that number to actually reflect what they actually pay us out each week or each month or something that has a little bit more correlation to what our actual profit is. However, they're never going to do that because they know that we love those big numbers and we love to share them. And it's a great marketing strategy for them to bring more sellers onto the platform. Quick side note, if you guys have watched my channel before, you may have noticed that I have upgraded my microphone. I personally think it sounds a lot better, and I hope you guys do too. I am super excited to be able to invest in this channel and bring you guys better content. However, it's not possible without your guys' support. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, throw some hype on this video, drop a comment, watch the video all the way to the end, and make sure that you're subscribed. All of these actions are free for you. However, it helps me and the channel grow. And to be perfectly honest, without you guys doing these simple things, I would not be able to invest the time or the money in making any more of these videos. Now, when it comes to fees on eBay, eBay has gotten super creative. Everything from store memberships and insertion fees, and even paying more money when you fall below standard, eBay has thought of it all. Now, all of these different fees could be their own video. However, for today's video, I'm going to only focus on the fees that the majority of us pay directly to the eBay platform. Obviously, there's always going to be more cost in selling on the eBay platform, from things like cost of goods to shipping supplies to even the gas that you put in your vehicle and paying taxes. However, I'm not going to cover all of that today. What I am going to focus on is the two types of fees that we pay on every sale or every transaction that we make on the eBay platform. And those are final value fees and promoted listing fees. Final value fees are not optional. They are simply the fees we pay when we sell an item on eBay for the privilege of using the eBay platform. Now, they vary slightly for different categories and even depending on your level. However, the vast majority of the time, we are paying right around 13.6% on our final value fees. Promoted listing fees are completely optional. These are fees that we decide and we voluntarily pay to eBay. Now, once again, there's a bunch of different types of promoted listings. However, the vast majority of us just use general promoted ads, which is simply a percentage that we choose to pay eBay to promote our items. In theory, this helps us by incentivizing using eBay to show our items to more customers to get that sale. Now, this is a very controversial topic in the reselling community, so I'm not going to cover it in great detail here. However, if you want my actual opinion on promoted listing fees, check out this video here. And if you haven't already heard, the way promoted listing fees are determined is changing in January. So if you don't know what I'm talking about or you're unaware of this, make sure you check out this video here where I break down what the changes are. Now, most people would assume that if you're selling a $100 item on the eBay platform and you have 0 promoted ads on, that you would end up paying 13.6% on that $100 or $13.60. However, that's incorrect. eBay actually takes fees, the final value fees and the promoted listing fees, out of the complete total that the buyer paid. So if you have shipping on that item that you're charging the customer, eBay takes a fee out of that. If the customer lives in a state that has state tax on these items, you pay fees on top of that tax. So it could be something like the buyer paid $5 in tax and the buyer paid $10 for shipping. So that item is now $115 in the total sales. That is what eBay is going to take their fees out of. So they're going to take that 13.6% out of the 115, not out of just the $100. Now, this may seem super unfair to you. After all, why is eBay taking money out of the shipping costs when we have to pay to ship the items out? And why is eBay taking money out of taxes when we don't even see that money? Well, eBay takes money out of the shipping because if they didn't, we would all sell our items for $1 and then charge $99 for shipping, therefore avoiding the fees. Now, the taxes is a little bit more complicated, and honestly, I can't defend eBay's action for taking fees out of the taxes. However, it is worth noting that eBay handles all of our state tax reporting for us. So if you sell different items to different states, you would normally have to do all the tax reporting on your own. However, eBay handles all of that on our behalf, so we don't have to do that, which saves us a bunch of time and money. For me, it's definitely worth paying the percentage on the taxes just so I don't have to handle that. Now that we understand the basics of how the eBay fees work and all the little tricks that they're using to determine the fees, let's go through and see some actual examples of how this actually works. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is go on to Google and type in eBay fee calculator. This is the one that I personally like to use. However, there are other ones out there. So what you're going to look at here is the different fields. So what we are going to do is break down that jacket from the beginning of this video. So we sold the jacket for $100. The item cost us $20. And the shipping also cost us $10. So the shipping cost was the same amount that we charged the buyer. We had one order. Because we only sell part-time on eBay, we do not have an eBay store. We're above standard. It's not an overseas sale. And we're going to promote that jacket at 10% because we actually want to get this item out the door. Now for sales tax, 7.5% is the average sales tax across the US for each state. So we're going to use that for the example here, 7.5%, and sales tax was included in the shipping. We're putting it under the clothing category. So if you come down here, you can actually see that our total profit on that item would be $51.70. The sales tax was $8.25. Our final value fees were $16.08 with a 40-cent transaction fee, and the promoted ads cost us $11.83. So that 10%, even though the item was $100, you might think that you're only paying $10, but it's always going to be a little bit more because we have to calculate the shipping and the sales tax amount. So let's go back and see what it looks like if we don't promote our item. Now we're making $63.52. But what if we sell to one of the few states that don't have sales tax? Now we're making $64.64. And you can even see if you don't charge shipping and shipping didn't cost anything, that you can even make more money. So it all just depends on how you choose to go. Something that's worth noting here is you should really figure out what your profitability is on each item before you ever go and sell it. So let's say we sell a $10 item with $5 shipping. We paid $1 for it at a yard sale, and it cost us $5 to ship it. We don't have a store. We're above standard, And let's say we decide to promote this item at 10% and it's going to sell to one of the states with sales tax. You can see that we only make $4.80 on that $10 item, even when we're charging shipping. But it is worth noting that it doesn't take much to eat away at your profit. I have seen eBay recommend promoted listings up to 20%. But some people don't even know what promoted listings are. If you come onto the eBay platform and you're like, oh, I want to promote my item, you can actually promote yourself right into the negative. So if you promoted this item for 40% and it sold for $10 with $5 shipping, you actually owe eBay 4 cents. But the crazy thing is you can actually give eBay even more money. You could run this all the way up to 100%. That's right. You can actually promote your items at 100%, which makes no sense at all because you are going to owe eBay $9.72. I highly recommend that you come onto this site and play around and see what your actual profit is on your items and determine how much money you want to give away to the eBay platform for selling your items. Sometimes you might have the margins to be able to promote an item, but other times you might not. Now, if you ended up paying $5 at a thrift store and you're trying to sell the item for $10, your profit margin is super thin right here. So you can really end up promoting yourself right into the negative by only going up to 15%. And 15% isn't even something that eBay doesn't recommend. So it really just depends on what you're able to sell the item for, how much you paid for the cost of goods, and your promoted ad fees. I really like this calculator just because you can actually see the fee breakdown over here and understand exactly what you're paying and how much you're paying in promoted ad fees. There's a reason that they use percentages, because if they showed us the actual amount that you were giving away each time, people would be less apt to use promoted listing fees. My hope is that this video helps you guys understand exactly how much you're giving away to eBay every time you sell an item on eBay. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong to promote your items. I personally promote all of my items. However, the important thing is to understand exactly how much money you're giving away to eBay, because it is completely possible that you're not making the profit you think you're making. If you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to love this one. So go ahead and give it a click.